beans, a piece of meat, some potatoes, nothing touching, nothing going anything. Keep it simple. My older brother and I would eat anything that was put before us, and my mom always said, your brother Andy just has simple tastes. Don't make fun. So, what could you do? But we did make fun sometimes, because there were some things that he was just a little fragile about. Our 2-week summer overnight camp, after the first day, he simply refused to do the mandatory swimming lessons, and he would explain to anyone who asked that the water is just too cold for me. It's too cold, I'm freezing. And he was a skinny guy, and so I understood that. What else? There's so much. Anyway, my mom touched on last night that he had some injuries in the early going, and I think he had some bad luck, some very bad luck, but there's a myth that's been perpetrated in my family for over 2 decades now that I have given Andy stitches 6 or 7 times, and this is not true. The 8 times? The time we were 5 years old, he was chasing me into my parents' bedroom. I cut to the right, leaving him not quite enough time to avoid the corner of the night table. I would say that was his fault. He was running irresponsibly fast in the house. The second time he was chasing me, the second time he hit his head in the corner of the wall because I pushed him. That was my fault. The third time he was chasing me into the kitchen, and while running I slammed the door behind me without looking. Had no idea his thumb would end up in the door. That's just bad luck. And that would be the first time that Andy had become so familiar with this experience that he simply looked at his thumb and screamed, "That's gonna need stitches." So, several years later, it was Thanksgiving Day, and we were in a parking lot horsing around, and long story short, I misjudged how close he was to me, and I banged him in the face. It was an accident. That was my fault. He simply, at this point, took a step backwards, tilted his head forwards, let his glasses slide off his nose, blood started trickling, and he said, "God damn it, that's going to need stitches." So anyway, I don't want to tell Stitches stories on it, but one more. It was a few years later, we were both living in New York, and we had gone to see a concert together. Later in the night, I was staying at his place. I was climbing up into his loft, and I accidentally kicked the ladder backwards. It wasn't attached. And I started to turn around and say, "Hey, watch out for the..." And everywhere he could be standing in the apartment, he was standing in the exact perfect place. He turned around at the right time, and the ladder hit him square in the head. He just stood there, he took a step backwards, leaned away from his clothing as the blood started to drip, and with like a zen-like quality now, he said, "I bet that's going to need stitches." And we went to the emergency room together at St. Vincent's at 2 in the morning. That was God's will, I think. That was no one's fault. That was bad luck. But I bring this stuff up because this stuff happens for a reason. You know, everything happens for a reason. And Andy told me one time when he had gotten back from studying in Italy, he said, "Greg, you know, the Italians, they like to see their heroes suffer before they succeed." And I think Andy, in the early going, just had to suffer a bit before he became the hero you see before you today. And he has become a physical specimen to behold. He's suave, he's sexy, he's cultured, he's a man of the world. He's lived in London, Copenhagen, Rome. He went to the coast of Croatia to propose to Hillary, and you know, most guys would have done it in Central Park. Not this guy, which I completely admire. Student of art history, knows his Caravaggio, loves his Celtics, his soccer, most of all, his Hillary. And thank God for Hillary, because I remember in great detail all of his previous girlfriends. I'd like to tell you a little bit about all of them right now. My mom won't let me though, so just trust me that he's moved up in the world. My family and I have gotten to know Hillary over the years and just love her. As almost everyone here knows, she's a woman of sophistication, sophisticated fragrances, classy, stylish, most importantly, really nice, friendly, and fun to be around, and a wonderful person. She comes from a great family, despite the Notre Dame connections. She can be a truly phenomenal cook if, you know, someday she actually cooks something. Who knows? Andy's still waiting to see how that works out. She's really goofy. She likes fake mustaches. She'd like to grow her own mustache. Andy would like to grow his own too. Neither of them can, unfortunately. She's wonderful, and we love her less. So together, Andy and Hillary, they're Hillandy or Andillery, whichever your preference. So just in closing, I was thinking about what to say tonight, and started thinking about how everyone always says that getting married is like having a fraternal twin. No one's ever said that, but I'd like to think that being a twin has somehow prepared Andy for marriage. I'll admit there are some differences between having a twin and having a wife. You have to choose the wife, I guess. You generally have sex with your wife more than your twin. You don't fist fight over the box of Cheez-Its. But there are some things that are the same, which is you always have each other's back. And you're always there for each other through the thick and thin, forever and ever. And the earliest memory I have in the world is of lying in bed, sucking my thumb, and twirling Andy's hair. This is probably where the comparison between twin and wife should end. Don't engage in that sort of activity in your honeymoon. But I love you guys. I wish you nothing but the best. And here's